Hey, discerning listeners, Darcey and Stacey, the tell-all. Let's watch.
He's here. He's in New York. So he came to New York, but he doesn't want to do the tell-all. I don't know.
Of course, there's already a problem with Georgie.
He just doesn't feel comfortable coming today.
I know Darcey really needs him here for support and would love to have her fiance by her side.
Okay, so it's the tell-all, and apparently Georgie came with them to New York, but isn't coming to the recording. I don't know why. Maybe we'll find out. And Darcey's upset that, I mean, not terribly upset. Darcey's saying, would I like him to be here? Sure, but it's his prerogative, which is a good attitude to have. And of course, Georgie has the right to not be there. It's not like he's not supportive, right? He just doesn't want to be on camera, apparently. We don't know Georgie's reasons, but I would totally understand, because whenever he's on this show, he's being bullied. Just imagine who would be on his side. Darcey is not on his side. Stacey surely isn't on the side. I think the friends are going to be on this. They're not on his side. Not only not on his side, but they bully him, actively abuse him. I think Michael is going to be on the tell-all. Jesse and Tom are not on Georgie's side and might try to bully him. The only one we could possibly imagine might be on Georgie's side is Florian, and Florian has participated in the bullying of Georgie. So I would, if someone came to you and said, so my partner wants me to go to this event where everyone in that room has previously bullied me and will likely bully me again. If you were that person's friend, what would you say? You would say, hopefully, well, is it an option that you don't go? Because if it's an option, then why would you go? What benefit do you have going into the Lion's Den like that? Darcey is saying, well, you know, it's not that big of a deal. And of course, Stacey is taking it like, oh, of course, it's all about Georgie. It's like, it's not all about Georgie. Georgie opted out of something that was optional.
But once again, Georgie goes back to his old ways.
What? His old ways of avoiding being bullied? Because if that's his old ways, then I would say he's entirely entitled to that. Now, I don't know. I keep waiting for some revelation, and maybe something will come out in this tell-all. I doubt it will. Okay, I'm going to have to calm down already because I'm getting worked up. Why do I get worked up? I think it's because this show started by being relatable, where I could relate to Darcey and Stacey, for that matter, and Georgie. And I could kind of relate to Tom. It's hard for me to relate to Jesse. I think I know what's going on inside of him. I don't know. But this show has turned into just a scapegoat fest, a bullying of Georgie. And they either are leaving things out that Georgie has done that justify the bullying, or we're just literally watching, or the show is completely faked and they're just coming up with things to, you know, drum up drama because they need to get ratings. And Georgie even knows. He steps forward and says, yeah, I'll be the scapegoat. I'm okay with that, which would at least make me feel better for Georgie, but not good for the way they're writing this show. Or we're literally watching someone be bullied and abused for no reason. And that's upsetting to watch. You know, when you, I guess, I think I've talked about this before, that I can't remember if I was saying this to y'all or to my wife, but in other shows, you just see little snippets, you know, like before the 90 days, you're just watching these little clips, you know, Kim and Usman and Mike and Jimena, and it's just sort of in and out. Whereas this show is so concentrated, it's just wall to wall with one situation. And it seems as though the past two seasons, the only thing that they have as a storyline is Georgie being bullied for nothing. And it's just this, I'm getting really tired, burnt out, I guess, upset. You know, it'd be one thing if we sort of dipped in and out of that storyline, and then we went to Florian, and then we went to this and some other interesting thing, to me anyway. And it's wearisome to me, to the point where I don't know. I don't want to say this, but I don't know if I want to watch this show anymore if it's just going to continue to be this way. Because it's like, what more can I say? And if the tell-all continues to be this, where it's just the same old, like I don't know if there's any value that I can bring other than just what, you know. There's certain shows that people will ask me to watch sometimes, and I'll dip into it and I'll say, like, I don't know if there's anything I can get and really add value to watching, other than just watching it and going like, oh my God. And that's not the sort of content I want to provide. I want to provide something that y'all can use. And I think y'all know that you're not supposed to bully people. I don't think we're gonna, tread on any new ground there. So it doesn't feel professionally satisfying to me. And I honestly, I don't think y'all want me to just be hammering on the same nail over and over and over again. So I'm just telling you that I'll finish it out. I'm a completist. I will finish out this season for sure, but I don't know if it's worth continuing to watch. I'm kind of saying this to remind myself to like just calm down. It's just a TV show. I'm not involved, and don't get all worked up.
May not be here.
Right.
What's going on?
Georgie's a little apprehensive about coming to the tell-all today, and he wants to go into real estate. So he's taking classes 3 days a week to get his license. So, today he will be studying for that.
Darcey, this.
Okay, so that's good. That's better than what I thought Darcey would say based on previous statements that she says. She's saying he's studying for his real estate license, and that's what he's doing today. So he can't come today. So it gives him a way out of it, and that was a good thing to say. Good, all right.
This is such a big day for you and your
He
sister.
talks about it. At one point, thought he was going to. He was like, 70-30.
So he's in New York.
He's in New York. He came, but I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to get triggered by things.
I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't want to get triggered by things. I think it's pretty obvious why he wouldn't want to come. I mean, even if you don't take responsibility for your own bullying, Darcey, you would at least recognize that he's bullied by Michael, who I believe is there. So it would, at the very least, be prudent of Georgie not to come, because it could literally come to blows, since Michael has physically threatened him in the past for no reason, for putting money in a sock. Remember that? So it's not just a little apprehensive because he worries about like maybe he has some very real concerns.
I'm just shocked that he chose not to show up. It's okay for him to come to New York, stay in the hotel, but not support her on stage.
How is it supporting her? If he shows up, he knows that he has to be a part of it, and he knows he's going to be bullied. So that's supporting her. He can support her by not coming. He doesn't have to. He's in town. He'll see her directly after. He can, Anyway, so, and of course, Stacey sees it this way. It's just like, of course. And so we use the show as a jumping off point. When I would treat families and couples, and throughout my career, one of the phenomenon from undifferentiated suffering families is the scapegoat one of the members, meaning that the system will decide. You'll see this happen in workplaces or in friend groups as well, that when everyone is insecure and everyone is tense regarding getting their needs met, their attachment needs, their security needs, there's a tendency to scapegoat something, to triangulate. And over time, systems will decide who's going to play what role, who's going to play the mother role, who's going to play the baby role, who's going to play the clown, who's going to be the star, and who's going to be the scapegoat. For example, when you have a family that suffers from addiction, one of the members has a compulsive problem, often there will be someone who will be scapegoated, someone who will unconsciously or semi-consciously volunteer to be the lightning rod for all the criticism so that it can be distracted from someone else. So if you have a family where, say, the father is drinking every day, and sometimes when he drinks he loses control of his emotions and he has a temper, and you have a mom that is upset and crying a lot and depressed, and you have the oldest kid who is the star, getting straight A's, class president, everyone loves her, and then you have the next child, the teenage boy, who volunteers, is also elected to be a scapegoat. So he smokes pot all the time. He gets F's in classes. He drops out of sports. He hangs out with the wrong kids. He gets in trouble at school. He's late for curfew, and so on. And this person is, maybe under a less undifferentiated family would have been a little bit rebellious and a little bit of a independent soul, if you will. but wouldn't have become so noticeably a problem. And what this does is that it provides the family someone that they can yell at, someone that's easier than yelling at the father who is exhibiting, and the mother to some extent for having to. You can't really yell at someone that's depressed in the same way that you can't yell at someone who has a compulsive problem with alcohol. But there's all this tension, and there's been attempts to try to deal with it head on, but it doesn't work. There's pushback or defensiveness, or everything falls apart. And so someone else will be elected to be the scapegoat. And now the scapegoat wins by being the scapegoat in a very weird way. And let me explain. So you have a system, and without the scapegoat, everyone's suffering. Everyone's looking at the alcoholic, everyone's looking at the depressed mother, everyone's looking at the neglected oldest daughter, and everyone's upset, and there's nothing to distract, okay? And the boy, let's say he's 12 at this point, is suffering because he's looking at everything too, and everyone is scared, everyone is insecure, everyone is tense, everyone is unsure about what the future will hold, how drunk is dad gonna get, how depressed is mom gonna get, what's gonna happen, all this uncertainty. Then he becomes 13, 14, and he starts to be a little rebellious because that's what a lot of kids will do at that age. And what he learns, either consciously or subconsciously, that when he makes a mistake, which all 13-year-olds will do, that all the eyes turns on him, and everyone starts to blast him. And although, and this is mostly subconscious, although he's being yelled at and disciplined, and he's conflictual with his family, deep down he actually feels less tension because there's actually less tension in the family because they have a distraction. So on one hand, he's perceiving all of this negative attention, which isn't great. He's upset. Like, how come everyone's yelling at me all the time? Everyone's on my back. They're always trying to control me. But underneath that is this recognition of, well, I feel less tension in the family system. I notice that my parents aren't fighting as often. I notice that there's less uncertainty in general in the family, and I feel better. So there's an overall win. There are more pros than cons to being a scapegoat. So over time, little bit by little bit, it encourages the scapegoat to act out more and more and more, encourages everyone to focus on that. An interesting element to this is that even if the scapegoat doesn't volunteer and push into the role, people will force that person into the role outside. For example, I might be treating a family, and I'll hear about this horrible teenager boy. This boy is just like, he's totally defiant. His grades are terrible. He's always talking back. And then I see him in action, and I find out that he's getting B's in school, which isn't horrible, and that he's actually pretty nice. So the family distorts him and is really convinced, like with Georgie, that he's a terrible human being because we need him to be a terrible human being, because if we don't have him as a scapegoat, we have to look at ourselves.
This is a big deal for us, and I feel like it's a red flag to what's to come.
I think at times he thinks we're gonna like judge him or gang up on him or something, which is not the case. Yeah.
Not the case. Not the case. He thinks sometimes you're gonna judge him and gang up on him, but that's not the case. Calm down, Kirk. What do you expect? Par for the course.
This is the man that you want to spend the rest of your life with.
Absolutely. It would be nice to have Georgie by my side, to feel protected and honored and loved.
How about, can we try to call him now?
I'm open to it.
So, of course, the show is interested in the drama. I'm guessing they're also upset that he's not upholding his end of the contract or something. There's probably something written in, I don't know. But it's like, you can't respect that's like, if Stacey my wife went on a show and I didn't want to go, and they started calling me from the set, I'd be like, what are you, like, can I opt out of something? Is that okay?
I'll try, we'll see what happens.
Can we get Darcey's phone so she can try to call Georgie?
Yeah.
It's just more disrespect. It's more bullying. To call someone while you're on the show. Now, hopefully he doesn't pick up, because if he picks up, he can't win. So you don't put people on a television show without their consent. It's totally, especially after he already has expressed his non-consent of being on the show.
Hey.
Hey, it's me. Here on stage with Sean and Stacey. I understand where you're coming from, but, you know, it'd be nice to have you by my side, just to feel loved and protected as well.
You're talking about I'm not there to be having your support. Your support from what? From your exes, the Tom and Jesse? Support from what?
Okay, yeah, I'd be angry too. It's like, support from what? I do support you, and I forgive you on things you don't even apologize for. And I put up with a lot of crap. And so we're hearing the first thing he brings up is Tom and Jesse. He doesn't want to be around them. Makes total sense. Why would he want to? Those things never go well.
You're growing enough. I don't need to be there to support you. You're growing enough. Your family's there. They're going to support you. You don't need me there to support you. Actually, I need support from you right now because I'm dealing with emotional stuff. And I don't want to be there dealing with other people.
So we're seeing a side of him. I will say it's notable that he has a tone, obviously. But I get where he's coming from. Just like, so what? How about support from you? Which I would, totally agree with. I need, like, support is not a one-way street, you understand? Like, I need support too. I didn't want to go on the show because it's really an awful experience. I don't want to interact with those people. I get bullied all the time by literally everyone in your life, and everyone is there. So how about some support for me? Absolutely. What would I hope that Darcey would say? She would say, Georgie, totally get it. Everyone on this show has treated you very poorly up until this point, so I get totally why you wouldn't want to come. And you support me in so many different ways, and I love you, and I thank you for that. I am a little bummed that you didn't come, but and maybe I don't really get why you don't want to come, but it's a free country. And you don't have to be here.
People, there's like, with their I have more important stuff to do in my life. I don't care about these people. This is stupid. Come on, grow up.
Now, we're hearing him say, grow up, which isn't cool. If Darcey's like, hey, everyone, this is what you did not see. This is what's been going on behind the scenes. And Stacey's like, yeah, see, that's what's going on behind the scenes. And even bigger expressions than that. Then if that's the case, then I could imagine a world in which there's at least something that Darcey and Stacey have been talking about all this time. That isn't what they've been focusing on. They haven't been focusing on tone or telling her to grow up. What they've been focusing on is the fact that he isn't rich. That's what they've been, and he doesn't treat him like goddesses, which I'm pretty sure is he's not rich and doesn't shower them with things and money. I think that's, I don't know. I'd have to ask them, but anyway, so I just need to just let it play and stop talking because this is just going to happen. I just have to again continue to remind myself this is going to happen, and I can choose not to watch it. So I'm going to choose to watch it, expect it to happen, and just recognize my helplessness or the fact that I'm confused and I don't understand what's happening in these people's lives.
So don't act like a victim. I'm not there to support you. For what? What I'm supporting you for? This is stupid. Come on, grow up.
Okay, so we saw a little bit of this last season when they were cooking in the kitchen, but this is new data, this side of Georgie, where he is being insulting. I mean, I understand his anger, I understand his frustration, and who knows what happened before Darcey got in the car and left. This could be a continuation of a fight that they had before. I'm guessing that it is. But at the very least, Darcey, she's just like, hey, I just wanted you to be here. He could have been like gritting his teeth and saying like, sorry, you can't be there. I mean, it wouldn't have been hard for him to say, I'm studying for the real estate exam, But instead, he's saying, grow up, stop acting like the victim. I mean, maybe they're at the tail end of their relationship, and this is their, space that they're in because they're fighting a lot. It doesn't justify the way he's talking to her for sure. Maybe but you could see how someone in Georgie's shoes would say stuff like that. I wouldn't, if he were there, I'd be like, wait, like when you say she's playing the victim, like, can you slow down there a little bit and maybe put that into more neutral language, probably he would say, she always changes situations. She sees situations where I'm not harming her as if I am harming her. She makes it into a story in which I have wronged her, when in reality I just asserted my needs and said I didn't want to be there. Where now she's framing it and she's telling everyone, I'm sure, on the show that I'm abusing her by not coming to a stupid taping. And I think that's probably what he's saying. I mean, I don't know if I'm just giving him too much credit, but am I giving him too much credit? It's been a question I've been having, because I feel it's rare on this when I watch these shows where I feel so like one-sided about something. I mean, I must be biased, right? I mean, that's just by definition. But I don't know. I mean, am I off base? Is Georgie that bad? Because this is how, and I think I've talked about this before, when people on the internet use the word gaslighting, this show is gaslighting me in that internet way. The true definition of gaslighting is not this, but we need a word for that, like internet gaslighting or gas interneting or something, that when everyone acts as if something is true and you're over here going like, I don't think that's true. And you start then wondering, wait, is it true? Like, they all seem convinced. And that is the beginning of true gaslighting. That's what abusive people will do to people, is they will sometimes, often unconsciously, just be very insistent about a particular distorted perspective. And then when you're a target of that, you just start wondering over time, wait, is there something wrong with me? So I'm asking y'all, is there something wrong with me? Because if there is, okay, then I can be like, that'll honestly make me feel better. I'd rather have there's something be wrong with me than something wrong with the situation. Because if there's something wrong with me, I can work on it. If something wrong with these people, they're, Darcey, one, Georgie is continuing to be abused. Two, Darcey's doomed, because Georgie, I'm sure, has his flaws, and we've seen a little bit of them. But if it doesn't work with Georgie, who in the world would it ever work with, right? So can we imagine someone that would be more forgiving, more accommodating, more calm, more patient, more taking the high road when it comes to conflict? Can we imagine someone that would, at least from my perspective, that would be doing that more than Georgie would, at least in terms of the way the show is editing? So if I'm wrong, then it gives me hope for everyone involved here. If I'm right, then they're doomed, right? And Georgie's being abused by everybody. So let me know. Am I wrong?
The hotel and bring him here to the studio.
Wow. I know he's got your back.
Georgie, like, starting, like, bothering me, like, just need to come first to support Darcey and his family. If you like to be a man, keep your words. Or you're no man. I'm sorry.
So I thought, well, maybe if he went, Florian would be on his side, since at least this season Florian has kind of been on Georgie's side. But apparently now Florian has given into the systemic mandate of scapegoating Georgie, and is now saying he's not a real man because he isn't coming to a television show taping that he doesn't want to go to. And it's unsupportive of Stacey. It's unsupportive of Darcey. Unsupportive. Georgie is unsupportive. He's a bad boyfriend because he won't come to the show and subject himself to more bullying. And even though he is opting out, they're still finding a way. Just think about that. That he probably said to himself, I am not, for my own well-being, I choose not to go. And I'm sure the show, production people were like, dangling carrots out in front of him in the form of money or whatever. Who knows, but I'm guessing that happened. And he's like, no, for my own goodwill, for my own well-being, I just can't go. It could only be bad for me. It could only be bad. So I'm not going to go. And then imagine that the entire show is oriented around making you a part of the show, whether you want to or not, forcing you involuntarily to be on a television show so that you can be bullied. And in the process of trying to get you on the show, we're going to bully you to be on the show. I mean, just think about that.
Why do you think Georgie's not here?
I think Georgie's worried about being thrown under the bus. I think Georgie feels that he's going to be disrespected.
How does Mike feel?
I think he will be disrespected.
Okay, hallelujah. Someone speaking the truth, or at least the way the show is edited. And I did not think the dad was, I mean, the dad off stage was like, I don't like the way he's talking to her, which I get. Georgie was being, harsh, and he had a lot of tone, and he was being insulting. Grow up, that kind of language is uncool. You don't have to say stuff like that. So I thought for sure he was going to throw Georgie under the bus and bully him as well, but the dad is actually... Now, I don't know if there's a but here. I'm going to give it a 50% chance that there is a but here, meaning, but Georgie needs to learn how to be a man or whatever. But thus far, I'm going to revel in this. I'm just kind of breathing in that the father is saying, I think the reason why Georgie doesn't want to come is because he's worried about being thrown under the bus. And I do think that if he were to come, he would be thrown under the bus. And it's just like, I'm just going to breathe in the truth.
However, do I believe he should support my daughter? Hell yes. The answer is yes. If he is in fear of being thrown under the bus, then he needs to analyze his situation to find out why that may occur.
There it is. Of course, there was a but. But he needs to figure out why he's being thrown under the bus, because it's his fault that he's being bullied, and he needs to be supportive of Darcey. So it was a very brief moment of reprieve, but I'll take what I can get.
I think Darcey wants a relationship, but I think Georgie wants something. I'm not sure what he wants.
Do you think Georgie is in love with Darcey?
Bluntly, no. Do I think he's in love with Darcey? No.
Okay, that is a question, right? It's possible that Georgie doesn't really love Darcey and is just in it for reasons of money or clout or something. We don't know. That happens sometimes. I think I can't think of a single couple that I've seen in 90 Day where it was obvious that that was happening. There have been relationships where the question gets raised, but then you hear counter arguments. Like even the one couple where I thought maybe was Muhammad and Danielle, there was no direct evidence of that, but it just kind of had that feel to it. But there's also tons of evidence that show that Muhammad wasn't only in the relationship for the green card, that he was in it to really see if it would work. But then quickly realized it wasn't and then left her, which could absolutely happen. So even in that one, it's unclear. So it happens sometimes. And with Georgie, is it possible? Yeah, maybe. But it didn't seem like he was that hard up prior to meeting Darcey. It seemed like he was doing okay. He had a job, he had a home, he had a life. So it wasn't like he was completely destitute. But who knows what would motivate someone? According to everyone on the show, he's just in it for the fur coat that Darcey voluntarily buys him. So is it possible that he's not in it? Is it possible the dad can detect that? Yeah, maybe. But certainly from what we've seen, we can never know what's going on in someone's heart, but we can go off what we're seeing. And there's a lot of evidence that Georgie, well, it's kind of twofold. On one hand, there's a lot of evidence showing that Georgie cares about Darcey, and that behind the scenes, because who knows what it's like behind the scenes. It's probably very mundane, and they probably have some good moments together. They probably have a lot of good moments together. On the other hand, why would anyone put up with all this bullying if you weren't in it for something else, right? So that raises, so it's sort of like the amount of niceness and forgiveness. It's like, oh, he loves her clearly, but then you're like, well, but why would he stay? There's I'm guessing other women that he could be dating that wouldn't have entire systems that would treat him this way. So anyway, if I were to put my money down on an option, I would say that Georgie does legitimately love her, and the father just doesn't see that. But I don't know. What do you think, actually? I'm curious. Do you think Georgie genuinely loves Darcey? Like, really is not in it for the clout and the money and all that kind of stuff? I guess that is a central question.
I feel like he's there to get what he needs and desires and wants because I'm providing. I feel like there is a love that we have for each other, and I'm really
Seems temporary.
Yeah, I just want it to grow deeper, and I just feel like it gets stagnant. It doesn't progress in the way that I feel like the stages of love should go.
Okay, that's interesting. So Darcey is saying, there are times when I feel like he isn't in love with me. That leaves out, I'm guessing there are times where I feel like he is in love with me. I mean, that's by implication what she's saying. And she's saying that he's just in it for the money. And, okay. But, I don't know. I'm guessing what Darcey is really feeling is, no, most of the time I feel like he's in love with me. And so, her self-esteem is kind of a double-edged sword, her low self-esteem, seemingly. On one hand, it seems like she's settling for Georgie, given her narrative of him, whether or not it's accurate or not. Because she's basically saying, well, this is the best I can do, which is pretty sad, right? That she would feel like that's the only thing that she's capable of or deserving of. On the other hand, her self-esteem might be distorting her. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Whom she did. I don't think it's right. Darcey is giving too much.
It wasn't much. It was like 10,000 down.
Down?
Well, it's a big ring.
Wow.
Okay, a lot of things to say. So, to catch you up, they're asking her about her wedding ring, saying who bought it. And she says, essentially, sort of evading the question, but reveals that she bought her wedding ring. And everyone's disgusted. And it's clear, they're treating it like Georgie is abusive of Darcey because of this. And this is an indication of that. So, what if I told you that I bought my wife's wedding ring and I bought my own wedding ring? Does that mean my wife is abusive to me? No, because that's ridiculous. So what they're saying is that Darcey saw a ring that she liked. She's saying, we talked about getting engaged, and then we decided that there would be a ring. And Darcey saw a ring that she liked, and I'm guessing that Georgie was like, well, I can't afford that. And Darcey said, well, I want to buy it, so that's the ring I want, so I'm gonna buy it. And Georgie was probably like, well, okay, if that's what you want to do. The way they're framing it, Georgie held a gun to Darcey's head and said, pay $20,000. I mean, $10,000 down? Does that mean like it's a $100,000 ring? I don't know. But either way, Darcey chose the ring. A lot of people do this. And we all know that Darcey has more money than Georgie. So she bought the ring. What if I bought my own ring? What if I bought this ring? Does that mean my wife is abusive to me? No. It's like you share your money. And this whole idea, everyone's ignoring the fact that he has a job that doesn't lend itself to the pandemic, of which they are in smack dab in the middle of. This is filmed a while ago, and we're still on the tail end of Omicron at this point. Anyway, and even if he did work full-time as a massage therapist, I'm guessing his income wouldn't come close to what she earns. And I don't know how much she earns, but it seems like she earns a lot of money. Anyway, point is that there's an income disparity between the two people. Is that okay with everyone? Or is that abusive? So many other couples on the show have this arrangement. You have one person that earns more than the other. Is the person who doesn't earn as much money abusive? Does it mean that they don't love her or him or whoever because they don't? Are we claiming that Georgie has the money and just refuses to spend it? And it's all stuck in a sock drawer somewhere? Now, Darcey is trying to defend Georgie in her way. She's actually being very defensive in her way. She's trying not to answer the questions. Everyone else is determined to scapegoat Georgie And Darcey's kind of resisting it. You know, she's actually like, well, yeah, he's working on things. He's going to get a job eventually. He's trying to get his real estate license. He has the Rosewater thing, and he's working on. She keeps saying these things, and he doesn't want to be on the show. So if we just took Darcey, why would everyone else be invested on getting Georgie on the show? Why would everyone else be invested in scapegoating Georgie unless there's something rotten in Denmark that they're trying to distract themselves from?
Do you think, Stacey, that you spend as much on Florian as Darcey spends on Georgie?
What's the difference?
That's not a rational question. Sean is asking Stacey, do you spend as much on Florian as Darcey spends on Georgie? One, they're a different couple. So that'd be like asking me, do I spend as much money on my wife, or does my wife spend as much money on me as Darcey? It's like people have different arrangements.
I feel like my family could vouch for the kind of love that Florian has for me, and I don't think the love is equal. We don't know. We're still not seeing that.
You see that? Darcey's like, we don't know. We have our own relationship. Just imagine that. Imagine you're in a relationship and you've had your ups and downs, and your sister comes up to you and says, my boyfriend loves me more than your boyfriend loves you.
Well,
Unconditional love.
he's there for me.
Got
He
your
has
back
been there
at
for
the
the
end of the
kids
day.
and stuff. Well, let's hope. Let's hope.
The other despicable thing here is that the kids, who are children, by the way, I think Aspen is 14, they are completely wrapped up in this now, and completely wrapped around the family narrative. And you have to wonder, is the show exaggerating? Are they exacerbating? Are they trying to keep this drama going, fanning the flames, if you will, because of money? And are the children now being wrapped up in it? I didn't show it, but the children who were children, they are little children. They might look and be made up to be adults, but they are not. Make no mistake about it. And they're reading the tweets. They're very involved from what I can tell on the show, on TikTok and whatnot. Is it healthy? I don't know. Only those kids could tell me. We'd have to ask them when they grow up what they thought about the whole thing. So it's just another, why? Stacey has kids that I think are the exact same age as Aspen and Aniko. They're not on the show. I presume because Stacey doesn't want the children to be harmed by the show.
Seems you came empty-handed, Florian.
Yes, Georgie's not coming.
What happened?
I say I want you, everybody like family together, and I'm here for you. Everybody nobody going to...
Imagine that. No one is going to attack you. I'm here for you. Even though on the way over there, I was saying you're not a real man because you're not here, and you're not supportive of Darcey because you're not here. We're not going to attack you. Even though without you here, we're still attacking you. We will do everything in our power to attack you. But we're not going to attack you if you come. We won't attack you, even though we always attack you, and we're attacking you currently. But we won't attack you.
Maybe he doesn't want to hear hard truths, even though they're...
That you bought a ring that you wanted, that he puts money in a sock, that he has a lot of credit card debt that he's probably not incredibly proud about, that his career isn't going very well, even though he's trying. Is Georgie lazy? Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just going to watch and not react, because it's just going to be me saying the same stupid stuff over and over and over again, honestly.
Definitely see a pattern here. Remember in New York? We all went up on the rooftop and there was some models there.
Kick his ass out.
Okay, so the ex-wife is saying that one night Georgie was flirting with another woman. Now, Octavia, it could be true. I can't, her account is her account. But she hasn't exactly demonstrated herself to be a reliable narrator of her past relationship. And none of us are. When we go through a divorce or a major breakup, we often will have distorted views of the other person. I mean, just think about your partners that you've broken up with in the past and think about their view of you. If it was super amicable, which is rare, then that might not happen. But if you broke up with someone and there was some anger there, think about how they see you and how they would talk about you in front of other people. In all likelihood, it's not entirely accurate, meaning that there's some spin based on your emotions. Now, could he have been flirty? Yeah. Is he there to defend himself? No. But we all know why, because he's already being, confronted on a number of levels. Anyway, and now Darcey's like, well, that's interesting. And Darcey's still kind of holding the line. She's just like, look, and I didn't show all the clips. She's like, look, our relationship is good. We have our ups and downs, but things are good. You don't see all the good times. So I don't know why we're focusing on this. Anyway, and then Stacey's like, remember that one time there were the models and da-da-da? Okay, so maybe Georgie was flirting. And, not great. All right. But we could also see, again, is Stacey a reliable narrator of what Georgie does? I think we can say, based on the data of the show, no. There's a massive bias. In fact, it kind of goes beyond bias. It's just like a determination to spin it in whatever possible negative way. I mean, money in a sock, and he has credit card debt. So I'm going to get this guy to threaten to fight him because he has money in a sock and he has credit card debt. He flirted. Well, I'm guessing we'll never find out if it was accurate or not. According to Darcey, who is the best person to ask I guess, in terms of the state of their relationship, she's saying, look, we have our ups and downs, but things are on the right track. And we have a lot of good times. He's a sweet person. Like she's saying those things. And
Next time.
Thank God it's over. So there's one more of these, and I will watch it, and I will post it, and I will be in a bad mood, probably. And I'm guessing some of y'all out there are like, Kirk, you don't have to watch it. You can just not watch it. And that's true. I'm voluntarily doing this, but I'm such a completist, I have to watch it. And honestly, I might edit this whole episode down to like a quarter of what I said, because I just don't think this is the kind of content. I think other people have content channels like this where they just watch the show and kind of rail, and I feel like that's what I'm doing. I feel like all I'm doing is watching and just railing, which I don't think adds anything to society. I don't think there's anything we can learn from it, and I just don't think that that's what you come to this channel for. At least that's not what I want to be doing. If this episode is 3 minutes long, it's because I edited 99% of what I said. Because it's embarrassing, honestly. Like, I can't control it. It's the anger that I feel. I feel angry. So, like I said, either something is happening behind the scenes that they are not showing us and not describing very well that justifies what we see in terms of the mistreatment or the anger and the scapegoating of Georgie. So either he's doing horrible things and it at least somewhat explains why everyone is against him. Okay, we'll hold that as a possibility. Or they are completely making this up and Georgie might even know about it, and they're just saying, well, we don't have anything else to talk about. And Florian and Stacey are requesting that their storyline be backed off because it's not good for their marriage. So they need something to talk about, and they just completely invented this Georgie as horrible thing because they know 90 Day Fiancé knows that's what sells, when you have someone that you can hate. And they might even know that by scapegoating Georgie, they get the entire audience against Darcey, which flips it around where Darcey doesn't even know, wait, I thought Georgie was going to be the scapegoat. But the way that you're editing it, it makes me look like an a-hole. And so I'm being the scapegoat. Even though everyone on the show is treating Georgie as a scapegoat, the world is treating me like a scapegoat. That's a possibility. Another possibility is that the family has something seriously. There's a lot of tension and a lot of traumas that are present frequently, and they don't have any way of focusing on that because of fear and pain. And so they all scapegoat Georgie because he's an easy target, because he is literally, according to what we're seeing on the show, the nicest person on the show, the most forgiving. I mean, just think about if Florian were targeted this way. He would explode. We saw him explode with very little bit of criticism towards him during season 1. And he actually cheated. So Stacey would worry that she would lose him. Georgie is if we're using the data on the show as an accurate depiction of reality, literally will allow anything to happen to him and he will still come back. So it's one of those three, or another option, I suppose. If there's another option, let me know in the comments. But those are the three that come to my mind. Any one of those three, I would be angry about. The one I just mentioned, which is the data is real and they're scapegoating Georgie, I'm angry for Georgie. If it's the show is completely manipulating me and the audience and just making stuff up, that's angry too. That makes me upset that you would lie to the audience. It's a reality TV show. It's not supposed to be scripted. We understand sometimes it is. Is it right now? That would make me angry. Because you could have just made it about fun things and enjoy. I wouldn't have anything to react to in terms of the show, but it would have at least felt like, okay, we're checking in on Darcey and Stacey's life. It wouldn't have aggravated me to watch a show like that. It probably wouldn't have gotten good ratings. Or something really horrible is happening and Georgie is actually deserving of this, in which case I'd be angry that no one is describing it. Because all they would have to do is say, by the way, just to let you know, behind the scenes he did this, he did this. We hear things being referred to, but it doesn't sound like it's anything of substance. If he were being abusive, they keep talking about, well, behind the scenes he acts entitled. Okay, well, what does that mean exactly? Because when you give examples, you bring up these examples like, well, he dresses in fancy clothes that I buy him. So you buy him fancy clothes. He wears them, and that's him being entitled. You could obviously not buy him clothes. It'd be like me buying my wife something. She wears it, and I'm like, oh my God, you're so entitled. Now, if Georgie is pressuring Darcey to buy things, then that would be a jerk face. But we're not hearing that. We're not hearing anything about pressuring her. We're not hearing anything about him saying, you better buy me this or I'm going to leave you. We're not hearing that. What we're hearing is that he might, let's say he even asks, hey, I like that jacket. Can you buy it for me? Darcey at any time could say, no, I don't want to. But we haven't seen that. Now, at least that one option where Georgie is an a-hole behind the scenes, at least that would make sense. And I would be less angry about that, although I'd be sad for everyone involved. The other two are extremely aggravating as a viewer and as a therapist and as a person who cares about people's lives. Because anyway, that does it for that episode. Let's watch another show. Let's watch something else and take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.